Hello everybody, Michael from Attention to Detail in Tempe. Special guest today, Nina! She's my little one. Come here. She's a rescue, and she's just a small little German Shepherd. She's only about 62 pounds. Not that small. That's her cameo. So, I have a subscriber that crashed his motorcycle a little bit there and definitely has some road rash, so he's trying to do his best to make it look better. So I'm not a professional painter. I'm not a body shop guy, but I'm learning from other videos and I'm learning from the professionals that I seek my advice on, and just learning as I go to keep my car, my own personal car, looking good. So I made that wet sanding video and the experiment came out phenomenal. So it had brushed on paint. I wet sanded it, leveled it off with the other clear coat to diminish the thick brush marks of the paint. Now, if you're gonna do it, you can get these small little paint brushes. It's almost like a little toothpick, right? You've seen the syringes where you can, put a little needle point in and just slowly just put the paint in where you have chips. I did do a touch-up video on that. All, of course, experimental, and they all came out great. And like I said, I'm not a professional body man, but these are the tips that I can share with you that I've gotten from the professionals. So I only use a random orbital polisher. I don't use anything rotary. I don't want to burn through paint. I don't want to ruin someone's paint. I'm passionate about detailing, and I want to do, as minimally invasive, detailing as I can to do the best for the vehicle. When you do wet sanding, okay, so there's some keys. You can get some sanding blocks. I don't recommend those because they're just not that practical. If you're gonna get a 2000 grit or a 3000 grit, I mean, look how big this is. You're covering a huge area for a small little scratch. It's not practical. So if you do use a random orbital DA like this, you have to have a foam backing pad. If you get the Sun foam discs, which I'll show you here in the box, they come with a foam backing pad, but I always like to kind of double up. It gives you a little more feel to the paint, so you're not gonna, if you got a really thin there, you definitely can do some damage if you hit that backing plate on the paint. So, but if you do spray this with water, the water is going to disperse from the foam pad, so you don't need to keep spraying it with water when you're wet sanding it. Just a little trick of the pros. So the reason I have sanding equipment is if I do a headlight restoration, which is totally gone, before I put my headlight coating, which I did a video on. If it's extremely bad, I may wet sand it, okay? So if it's plastic and it's totally sun etched and burnt and I need to get it down, I have 800 grit, or I have down to 500 grit, 800, okay? Then I'm gonna bring it up to, I've got 1000, and these are foam backing discs. I have 2000 grit, and then 3000. Now the 3000, it's literally so soft, it just feels like cloth. You think that it's not doing anything. What I have found out is that if you're gonna polish it out, it needs to be, and you're doing any wet sanding on a scratch and you're dealing with clear coat, okay? You don't wanna use anything harsher than 2000 or 3000 grit. Okay, you don't need to go any more than that. Why? Because you're gonna take off too much clear coat and you're gonna really gouge into the paint, possibly, and then you're not gonna be able to get it back. Then you're gonna have to put clear coat on it, and it kind of defeats the purpose. So if you're doing wet sanding for scratch removal, it doesn't really take that much off. It's gonna help you level off that scratch and make it smoother and make it, less likely for you to catch it with your eye after you polish it. But remember, most of the compounds, even the heavy ones, you know, the Manzurna 3-in-1, it gets out 3,000 grit sanding marks, and it's amazing. So other than that, you're getting into dangerous territory there. So if I do a headlight, I'm going to sand it if it's super bad. Otherwise, most of the time when I do headlight restoration, I just use my 3-inch DA. I put a wool pad, Manzurna 400, and it has enough grit to polish out all that hazing. Then I just get an alcohol pad, clean it up, and then apply my coating, tape everything off so I don't get any overspray over the car. So those are the little kind of suggestions I do. Remember, if you're going to get into it, just do a small, obscure area. If your paint or your body is, or the panel you're working on is already damaged, you know, you're not going to make it any worse. You know, if you're going to have to take it to a professional anyway, or if you're just going to replace the tank or whatever. So, you know, these are kind of my tips. These are the tools that I use. I don't have anything to physically show you that to wet sand on, but when I do get another car where I will be doing some wet sanding, I definitely will make sure I show you how to. Today I just wanted to do a short quick video for that subscriber, let them know what I use. I do have another Max Shine polisher that I use as well as the Griot's, and that has like major wattage. Love that one as well. So I use both of those. The sanding discs, okay, I buy a box of them. I got, you know, I have a wholesaler. They're very expensive. It's not needed. If you're going to do a headlight, couple headlights or some panels, just buy 2 of these, you know, each one. You don't need a lot. They last a very long time. So don't waste your money on all the sanding equipment. Just make sure you definitely have that foaming back pad. And then when you have if you use the foam discs, which I highly recommend, once you spray that with water and that soaks in, that's going to disperse as it's spinning around. So you don't need to keep adding it with just a manual sprayer. You're going to get a haze, and then that haze is going to be able to polish out with an orange pad. And, you know, you either using Manzurna 3-in-1 or using Manzurna 400 will just, within seconds, we'll just polish that hazing right out. Hope this is informative to you. Hope this helps you out in any wet sanding. Remember, if you hear people saying that they're going to wet sand it or color sand your car or get that orange peel out of there, don't do it. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. You're taking off a lot of clear coat. It's going to do overall way longer damage, way more damage in the long run, I should say. Taking off those layers of clear coat. If you're that picky about your paint job and you have that orange peel on there, spend the money, get it repainted. Because if you're going to have somebody wet sand it and get rid of that, you're going to end up repainting it down the line anyway. So remember, if you can polish it out, that's the safest way to go, and just be happy with your vehicle with a shiny polish with no micro marring. That's going to be your best results. If you're getting into the damage of a bodywork or something like that and you want to experiment, this is what you can use. You know, level off those plastics that's gouged in there. You know, you can sand that down, but remember, once you sand it down or you sand that plastic that's gouged up, you're taking that off. You may have to put in body filler at that point. But you can certainly do it yourself and make it look good using the body filler, sanding it down, going through the steps of the wet sanding. But then you're going to have to put on the paint, and then you're going to have to put on a clear coat, and then you're going to have to kind of sand it down there. So if you're putting on several layers of clear coat and you want to wet sand that down before you polish it, definitely use 2,000, 3,000 grit, and then you'll be able to polish that out very easily. Have a great day, everybody. Don't forget, if you have any other questions, send me an email at detailinginttempe@gmail.com. Hope this helps any of you out, and I hope that helped out my subscriber. And more videos to come. Take care, everybody.